Hello, my wonderful shining stars. So today I am going to model how to use the box method division strategy without using your multiplication facts. So the first thing we need to do is set up our box. So step one is to set up our box. Okay, so if I take a look at my dividend, 488, I see that it contains 3 digits. So when I set up my box, I need to make sure that I have 3 columns, one for each digit in our dividend, which is 488. Now, just as a reminder, we're going to add the place values for each of these digits in the dividend to the top of our box. So in this number, 488, the 4 is in the hundreds place. That first 8 is in the tens place. And this last 8 is in the ones place. So that's just a little reminder so we can begin practicing our place values, because it's very important for you to understand place values. Okay, so now that we have that set up, when I look at my divisor, I see that it's 4, which means I am going to create 4 equal groups out of 488. So if I'm making 4 groups, I need to have 4 sections to represent each group in my box. So we have 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups. And down here at the bottom, I am going to give myself a little section to record my quotient, which of course is our answer to the division problem. Since we are dividing by 4, in order to check our work, we would have to do 4, the divisor, times the answer, our quotient. And when we multiply those two numbers together, we should get an answer of 488. If, when you check your work, you do not end up with the answer 488, that means that you made a mistake somewhere in the box method, and you will need to rework the problem or double check your multiplication and see if you made any mistakes there that caused you to end up with a different number. Okay, so now that we have our box set up, we are going to give 1 dot to each group until we run out. Okay, so we're going to start with the hundredths digit, which is the 4. So we are going to give away 1 dot at a time to each group until we run out. So we have 4 dots to give away to our 4 groups. So let's go ahead and get started. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we are out of dots to give away. And we see that each of the 4 groups has an equal number of dots. So we are going to box in this bottom group for when we start filling in our quotient section at the bottom. Next, we are going to move on to the tens place. In the tens place, we have 8 dots to give away. And again, we're going to give 1 dot to each group until we run out. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have run out of dots to give away, and each group has the same number of dots inside, which means we don't have any extras. So we'll go ahead and box in that bottom group so that when we fill out our quotient at the bottom, we know that we'll put a 2. And now we move on to our last digit in the ones place, which again is an 8. We are going to give away 1 dot each time, or 1 dot to each group until we run out. So let's get started with that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we are out of dots to give away. And we'll notice that each group got the same number of dots, which is 2. So we'll go ahead and box in that bottom group so that we know what number to write when we fill out this bottom section for our quotient. So starting in the hundreds place, if we look at this bottom group, we'll notice that there is only 1 dot. So underneath this hundreds column, we'll write the number 1. Moving on to the tens place, you'll notice that we have 2 dots in each group. So when we fill in the tens place for our quotient, we will write the number 2. And finally, for our ones place, we know that each of these groups received 2 dots. So right down here at the bottom, for our ones place, we are going to write the number 2, which means our answer to 488 divided by 4 is 122. Okay, so our third step was to write how many dots were in each group. And then our final step is going to be checking our work. And in order to check your work to make sure that you got the correct answer, you are going to multiply your divisor, which in this case is 4, and you'll multiply that by your quotient, which is the answer that you found and wrote down here at the bottom of our box. So, to check our work, we are going to take the number 122 and we are going to multiply that by 4. And again, since we're checking our work, we want to make sure that the answer we get after multiplying these two numbers, it should equal 488, which was our dividend that we started with. I am going to solve this multiplication problem using the standard algorithm for multiplication, just for the sake of saving time. So in order to solve this, we multiply 4 times 2, which is 8. Then we multiply 4 times the 2 in the tens place. 4 times 2 again is 8. And then finally, we multiply 4 times the 1 in the hundreds place. And 4 times 1 is, of course, 4. So our product, or the answer to 122 times 4, is 488. And as you can see, this 488 is equal to the 488 that we started with as our dividend. Since these two numbers match, we know that 122 is the correct answer to our division problem, 488 divided by 4.